Welcome back to the channel Book Dragons. I am so glad that you're here with me today. Today's video was inspired by The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, and specifically in one regard, and that is the magic wardrobe, where the Pevensey children open the wardrobe and escape to Narnia. They escape to a magical world beyond the wardrobe. And funny enough, I had originally thought about this in terms of if I had a TARDIS, but then I'm like, okay, so that's just time travel. That's not really doing what I want it to do, unfortunately. I mean, I could make up my own lore about the TARDIS, right? But that's not, I'm not going to do that because I love Doctor Who too much to do that. So I decided the magic wardrobe would be more fitting, and I came up with 8 places that I think it would be so awesome to go. And of course, I would have to take Ari. I couldn't go without Ari to this magical land, wherever it is we go. Now, keep in mind, we may end up in real-world places along this journey, but they will still be fictional places. So, we're going to get right to the list. Eyes are on, cat's in my lap. We'll see how long she lasts there. And away we go. So, the first one on this list, I think, is probably the most obvious one to everyone, and that is the Shire from The Lord of the Rings. And The Hobbit, of course. I mean, who wouldn't want to live in the Shire? Honestly. Now, maybe not the Shire from the end of The Lord of the Rings, but I won't go into spoilers there. You'll just have to read the book for yourself. But the Shire at the beginning of The Lord of the Rings is a perfectly fun place. There's plenty of hard work to be done, but then there's also plenty of food and plenty of beer and plenty of good friendships and good deprecating humor and all the things that you can find. I don't know about the pipeweed. I probably wouldn't go for the pipeweed, but everything else sounds amazing. I would love celebrations with fireworks. I would love to meet Gandalf if he happened to show up in the Shire. And I just think living around hobbits and living in a hobbit hole, I mean, I am kind of short. I'm not necessarily a hobbit short, but I'm a fellow of shorter stature. And so, I think I could, if I crouched low enough, I could probably live in a hobbit hole. Now, it may ruin my back, so that might be the only downside. But I would absolutely love to live in the Shire, green hills as far as the eye can see, and friendly, if somewhat suspect, neighbors. And of course, there's plenty of gossip riding around all over the Shire of who's into what and who's going on adventures and all that stuff. So I would love to live in the Shire, guys. That is probably the most ideal place for me on this list, even though I love some of these other places. I would love to live in the Shire. The next one is Holmesian England. And when I talk about Holmesian England, I'm talking about Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson, the creation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And this is a real place, of course. It's set in the late Victorian, early Edwardian era of England, right around the turn of the 20th century. And it's just a wonderful era in British history. I personally think I love the clothing of that time period. I love being able to ride in horse-drawn carriages. And of course, toward the end, there started to be more early automobiles and things like that. But I absolutely love this time period. And I think it would be so cool to go on adventures with Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson and be in the thick of the mystery and trying to figure out who done it or what's going on, why this person is being blackmailed. And I love that era. I love the walking canes and I love seeing the specific way of walking with a walking stick. I just think is fascinating because it's got that particular swing to it as you're walking, and and then you press it down and then you swing it up again. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of cool. It seems a little pretentious, and it probably was, but I've got this fancy stick and I'm going to put it down a certain way and everything. But I don't know, I just think it's cool. And it seems a simpler time, not necessarily. There were struggles, I know. They still had the poor like we do today. Money was always an issue. But I don't know, there was a simplicity about that era that just really appeals to me in a way. It's low technology, really seems like a pleasant time to me. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, and I would love to meet Holmes and Watson. I absolutely love the Sherlock Holmes stories. So, yeah. We're going to move on to Janloon, and this is a city in the region of Kikon, and it takes place in the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. I love Asian culture, and the way Fonda Lee wrote this story, it feels very late 20th century, but not quite into the full technology era. They're still using regular phones, just, plug it into the wall, answer it when you're home type of phone. And, they've got more classic late 20th century automobiles, or at least in that style. And I just think this world is really cool, and the lanterns hung all over town, and I just think Janloon would be a really fun place to visit. Maybe not the gang violence, I get that, I wouldn't want to get wrapped up in the gang violence, but I would love going to some of these little places to eat and just seeing the beauty of Asian culture around me. I think that would be awesome. And jade is such a beautiful stone. I'm sure there would be jade all over the place in this world because they use it for their magical abilities. I would love to visit Janloon. I think, well, Kikon in general I think would be fun to visit, but I'm drawn to Janloon. It's got that old world, small town Asia feel, but with a few modern amenities from that era of time. So I love it. I love it, guys. So the next one is Caladan, and that is the homeworld of Paul Atreides from the Dune saga. If I had been Paul, and I wouldn't be Paul, but if I had been Paul, I would have told my parents, "Hey, you guys are crazy. You want to move to Dune? You want to move to Arrakis? That's fine with me. I'm staying on Caladan because I love the sea. I love the seasons. I love just that rainy and watery atmosphere, very mountainous, and oh, I love the mountains. I love large bodies of water." I'm all about water, guys. I love being near the water. The beach is one of my favorite places. Just you give me a place with mountains and water, and I'm probably just really at home. I'm gonna sit by a stream and meditate and just enjoy the presence of nature in that place. Even though Arrakis is cool, and it is definitely an awesome part of the Dune saga, because that's the whole idea. It's Dune. There's desert everywhere. That's awesome, but I would not want to live there. If I were Paul, I'd be like, yeah, forget you guys. I'm staying on Caladan. And, maybe one day when you're ready for me to become Duke, then you can call me up and I'll come out there. But, or I can rule from afar, It's just, yeah, I would love that. I would love to visit Caladan. So the next one on this list is From the Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. And this is two places, actually. The Six Duchies, where most of the Fitz and the Fool adventures take place, and Beantown. Beantown is where the Live Ship Traders takes place. And Rainwild Chronicles, if I'm not mistaken as well, although that's probably more the Rainwilds, if you're familiar with the series. I would love to live in both of these places. I am probably more drawn to Beantown just because I love Seaports, And I love seeing all the ships in the harbor, and pirates are cool. I love pirates, and so not that I would maybe want to be kidnapped by a pirate, let's say, but I really enjoy that whole atmosphere. And so I think Beantown would probably be something I'm a little bit more drawn to, but I also really like the Six Duchies. It's got that small town feel, but there's also royalty, there's castles around and things like that. And then if you go on adventures to other parts of the world, you can also go to the mountainous areas and stuff. So, and the beach is right there too. So, if you want to board a ship and go out for supplies or go explore the world, you can. And I just really love the whole realm of the Elderlings, the atmosphere and the cultures that are found there, and the scenic areas are just absolutely breathtaking in my mind anyway. And so I would love to live in the Six Duchies. So if I could hop in a magic wardrobe and find myself in Beantown or the Six Duchies, I would be very, very happy. All right, so the next one on this list, and you may be surprised at this, the next place I would love to visit in my magic wardrobe is Scadrial, and that is the homeworld of the Mistborn saga by Brandon Sanderson. And you may be thinking, Chaz, why would you want to live in Scadrial? So I'm specifically talking about Mistborn Era 2 Scadrial. And that kind of goes back to Holmesian England because, I said I'd love to visit Holmesian England. Mistborn Era 2 kind of has that feel. It's about the same era. It's right there on the cusp of the industrial era. And you've got the fancy clothes, the long coats and the frock jackets and the walking sticks and everything like that, and the bowler hats. And I love everything about that. It's such a cool blend of fantasy with that more Holmesian England feel to it. And even though there is probably more technology in Scadrial than there is in Holmesian England, it's still very much a Holmesian feel to it. So, and it's not as dismal and gray as Mistborn Era 1 was, even though there is still some of that, and there's dangers to be had, right? So I'd have to be careful. But if I could dress the part and spend some time there, I think that would be awesome. The next one on this list is Ea, and that is the world of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. And again, you're seeing a pattern here, guys. I like water. I like the ocean. I like seas as far as the eye can see. No pun intended. And Ea has it. The world of Earthsea is mostly water with, the occasional little islands sprinkled here and there. And I just think that would be wonderful. Just push off in a sailboat. Yeah, I might get a little bit queasy at first riding in a sailboat, but I never had really big problems with sickness on the water, so maybe it wouldn't bother me. I'm just one of those guys that has to be around water, and I live in a desert city, although there are like man-made lakes here and stuff like that, and I'm like, why am I here when I like water so much? I'll have to go to the coast of California more often. That's what I have to do, ultimately. But yeah, I would love being in a place where there were different remote islands, lots of water, seas and oceans to be discovered. And there's dragons. The dragons are a little strange, but I would love to be around the dragons and just stand in awe of their presence. I think that would be so cool. So, and wizards, of course, in a world with magic, and especially elemental magic like Earthsea focuses on. I think that would be so awesome. And the final one on this list is Hyperion by Dan Simmons. Now, you may really be looking at me askance here and thinking, Chaz, you're crazy. Why would you want to live on Hyperion? I wouldn't want to live there. I would want to visit there. Specifically in the first two Hyperion books, I would want to do the Farcasters, where I could, go to pretty much any place I wanted instantaneously. So I'd like to experience that kind of travel. I just think the chaos of the Hyperion homeworld would be something to behold. I'd have to be careful not to run into the Shrike, right? But I guess that's the risk you take when you visit such a unique place as Hyperion. I just would absolutely love to visit there once. Now, there is a location in Endymion at the end of the first Endymion book. There is a location at the end of the book that seems very cozy and just makes me feel right at home. And I won't go into details because it could be spoilers if you haven't gotten that far yet. But man, I would love to visit that particular part of the Hyperion worlds anytime. I would totally be down. Now, it was only barely at the end of the book, so I don't know what happens there yet, but it seemed very cozy and homey to me. So you can tell I like to visit comforting places and places that make me feel like I'm at home. So those are a lot of the ones on this list. And that's all I've got for you today. Let me know in the comments some places you would visit if you had a magic wardrobe. Maybe there are some of the ones that I listed here. You probably got different ones as well. I would love to talk with you. Until next time, guys, please make sure you're reading more books, and I will talk to you very soon. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons, especially my newest patron, Sean, who joined me at the highest tier for Balerian's Brood. I really appreciate all you guys do to support my channel.